guys, welcome back to Classic City Talks with Classic City Locks. I'm Mike,
I'm Wes.
and here we are with another big slate of college football, gassed up. What an exciting week one. I mean, out the rip, it was crazy. You got the Colorado upset. You got teams like Baylor going down to North Texas. Crazy stuff. Looking forward to week two. This season's already delivering, and I know that you and I are both gassed up, ready to get some good picks out for the people, right, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, this slate of games is arguably one of the best of the season. You have Texas, Alabama, Texas A&M, Miami, Iowa, Iowa State. There's so many good matchups this weekend. Oregon, Texas Tech. I can't even name them all. So
Yeah.
you better get your popcorn ready on Saturday. It'll be a good day of college football for sure. All right, our recap from last week. We had some tough ones not fall our way. I was at the Louisville Georgia Tech game, and it looked like a sure thing when they came back. Louisville was losing the whole game, and I was sitting there, and I was like, just they're biding their time. They're biding their time. They
Mhm.
came back, and they were going to cover, and then Georgia Tech scored with like a minute left.
Garbage time.
Horrible, horrible beat there. Florida, there was a lot of line movement on that one after we gave it to you. Unfortunately, it did not pan out the way that I picked it. So I am starting the season 0-1 in my picks, and Mike is 1-0, picking an insane Colorado spread that ended up being an upset in itself.
Let's
Um,
go.
and then Utah State at Iowa, the under hit in that game for you guys, and Boise State and Washington did not hit, unfortunately. But I'm tracking these throughout the season, so we went 2-3 overall. If you were to bet on all 10 of these, you'd be down $11 right now using a $10 unit. But we've got bounce back plays this week, and we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it for the entertainment and trying to win y'all some money along the way. So trust at your own risk,
Yeah.
but we feel confident this week.
I like the slate this week more, if I'm honest too. Like I really like what we got cooking. So hopefully we
Yeah.
gave you all a couple dishes to choose from. Whatever you're hungry for, we got something out there for you. I'll kick us off. So we same format as last week. We got some of our best bets that are joint between us, and then some of our own. Starting off, Wes and I both really like Illinois +3 versus Kansas. They're going on the road to Kansas. A lot of you might be a little worried off the rip. Illinois only won against Toledo by 2 last week, but let's pump the brakes and relax. This Toledo team is not as bad as you think. They're 64th in ESPN FPI. That's two spots above Kansas. Okay, they're going to play Kansas, and this Kansas team, their quarterback Jalen Daniels is banged up. Probably going to play, but will he be 100%? Not sure. This
Yeah,
Illinois
he
team
didn't
was
play last week, so
yeah, this Illinois team was crazy on defense last year. Probably just got caught, sleeping against a non-power five team, and we both really like them.
yeah, I think Illinois just runs the ball to death here against Kansas's front line. I mean, if you put Jalen Daniels in a shootout, it's going to be tough. But Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier is nothing to doubt these days. They're really happy about him, and I think this is a good Illinois team with 3 points. So they're basically saying these teams are evenly matched. They're just giving Kansas the home field advantage. I like Illinois in the points here, and I know Mike does as well. So we'll move on to our second pick, which I'm excited about, is we're taking Northwestern +1.5 at UTEP. So UTEP is an interesting one here. I'm going to let Mike tell you some facts about them. But Northwestern, in case you don't know, they're like 1-12 in their last 13 games. So this is a big, big pick here. But I watched
Yeah,
them
it's
last week
it's
against Rutgers, and they didn't have as bad of a game as I thought. They lost 28-7. So you
but
might hear this and you might say, "Wow, what a bad pick." But I'm honestly I'm feeling an upset, I guess here. But Northwestern's a Power Five team. They're going into Texas El Paso, and last week they said, it's just a victory for them to be on the football field with all the off field drama that they've had going on. I picked them to shock the world in this one, kind of like Mike was thinking with Colorado last week. So give
yeah.
us Northwestern. Mike, what's wrong with UTEP here?
So I would like to give a quick shout out to Wes because he's the one who found this. And off the rip, I had the same reaction. I was like, Northwestern, like, come on, man. But when you do a little bit of a deep dive, I found out that, well, first of all, in FPI, for if you want to know, Northwestern is 76, UTEP is 120, so way down there at the bottom. UTEP versus Power 5 teams since 1998 is 0-36. We got to ride with Northwestern here. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great spot. And like Wes said, the score really doesn't reflect how they played. It kind of got out of hand there at the end, but Northwestern could have looked worse. I know Rutgers sucks, but UTEP is obviously not a good team, and we like
Yeah.
the spot they're in here.
So give us Northwestern and the points. What's next, Mike?
Up next, we're traveling to Iowa West, the most exciting, exhilarating offensive shootout you'll see all year. Iowa versus Iowa State. Last year, this game was really gritty. It's really gritty every year. We know both these teams traditionally do not have high flying offenses. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. And right now, you can get Iowa State +4. Iowa State won this game last year.
Yeah.
I believe this was an upset also last year. Currently, ESPN's giving them a 57.5% chance of winning. They're 4 spots higher than Iowa in FPI. And I think this game is always going to be this kind of knockdown, drag out fight. You're giving us 4 points, so even a field goal isn't enough. And I think that this is an Iowa team that we saw them last week win against Utah State. But even with Cade McNamara at the helm, it was nasty, typical Iowa gameplay. Nothing, they did not run up the score. They didn't cover the under hit, which we said would. And Cade McNamara has never really stood out to me as a generational quarterback, and I don't think the offense is going to lend itself to a shootout or anything. So I love the points here with Iowa State.
Yeah. And, Iowa last week, they ended up winning like 24-14. We were on the under at 45 and a half.
Yeah.
This week, they got this under at 36. So we were looking at it, and we both decided that's just too low to take. I mean,
Yeah.
this game last year was a 10-7 matchup, but I think that both of their offenses will have improved a little bit. I see it getting a little bit higher scoring, so I'd avoid the under, but we do love Iowa State with 4 points here. So we're going to take that one. And that is our final joint pick, but we have 3 more picks for you guys. Mike, you can start us off.
Yeah, so my pick this week, last week I told y'all Colorado +20.5, felt like the world was against me on that. And not only did they cover, they won. And I feel vindicated. 510 yards to the air. Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball for 129 snaps. Insane stuff. So to continue the trend, I'm taking Colorado -3 versus Nebraska. Couple reasons. I'll keep it short and sweet. Momentum. It's an intangible. You cannot discount it though. Sold out stadium at Colorado. The world is watching. The offense looks like it was clicking. I mean, Shedeur Sanders, no picks, 510 yards through the air. They didn't run the ball a ton, but they didn't really have to. I think that Nebraska is not better than TCU. I think TCU might have been overvalued, but they got Jeff Sims at the helm. I don't think he's a better quarterback. He threw a lot of picks last week. He threw picks when he was at Georgia Tech. And if you look at Nebraska's defense in 2022, they gave up almost the same amount of points, yardage on run plays and through the air as USC. And we harped on USC all last year for their defense. So I think this is a great spot for Colorado to pick them apart through the air and maybe even get the ground game going.
Yeah, this is one that I like, Mike, but I'm not going with them on this. I think Nebraska's secondary is going to be a little bit better than TCU's. And I don't know. I was telling him before this, I think that Colorado is like a team that Vegas hasn't figured out. So you're either getting a lot of value with this play or you're writing off a lot of value. So I'm just going to stay away from them because I was clearly wrong about them this season so far. So on to my picks. I actually have 2 for you this week, which Mike was a little upset about, but I told him, if you like 2 down the road or 3 or more, you can slide them in there. But the first one I got for you, I'm taking the Tide against Texas -7. So they're laying 7 points. I got Alabama winning by a touchdown or more. This is a home atmosphere in Bryant-Denny Stadium that there has not been in a long time. I think a lot of people are remembering this game from last year and they're thinking, oh, well, Texas played them so close last year. It should be the same thing this time. I think Alabama is a lot more talented this year. They got some questions at quarterback, so this will be a big test for Jalen Milroe. And Quinn Ewers has got to have a great game for Texas on the other side. But you look at the spread and you're telling me that Alabama would only be favored by 4 points. against Texas on a neutral site. I think Bryant-Denny Stadium is going to be worth more than 3 points there. I think Texas is going to have a lot of false starts, a lot of penalties. So I'm taking the Tide in this one. Mike, you got any thoughts before I move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a great game, and I think that West makes a good case here. I'm not enough for me to fully get on board with it, but if everything you just said, I could totally see happening. And Jalen Milroe doesn't need to have a Bryce Young-esque through the air showdown. We know he can run the ball. We know that Alabama has the pieces to make this happen. And I think the big thing is, does it come down to it comes down to Quinn Ewers performing with all this stress on him, and probably one of the hardest environments, hardest game of his career. I mean, last time they played them, he got hurt and they were at home. But yeah, I think that this is a game where Saban, is going to come back and be like, we're not done yet.
Yeah. And interesting fact too, these teams are both missing generational talents from last year. Jahmyr Gibbs for Alabama and Bijan Robinson for Texas faced off in this game last year. I think Alabama gets the edge on returners in that aspect as well. So I'll move on to my final pick, which is the over in the Utah and Baylor game. So Utah goes in to Waco, Texas, I believe, and plays the Baylor Bears, who just lost to Texas State. They lost to Texas State, giving up 42 points in that game. So this over of 47 could easily be a one-sided over too. If Utah, who Cam Rising is supposed to be back for, their starting quarterback, who did not play in that Florida game, and they put up 24 points. Baylor's quarterback, on the other hand, is supposed to be out. But Utah's defense, I think they're pretty solid. But if Utah goes up by 30 or more, then they're going to, start getting some reps for some guys. This over at 47 just seems too low for me. Or sorry, 47 seems too low for me. That's why I love this over. So get that in while you can. It's still on sports books as of today when we're recording this.
Yeah, again, I understand Wes's logic here. My one concern is Utah won against Florida, but I didn't really think that was a good Florida team. They didn't cover. And Utah, Cam Rising, questionable. I think he'll play, but they were also missing a lot of other guys there. I think around like 8 guys banged up. There's just too many question marks there for me. So I'm going to stay away from this one for now.
Yeah, that's totally fine. So we had one email this week, and we listened to their comment. We're not going to say what it is, but one fan of ours is very happy this week, I got to say. So if you guys send us your comments and concerns, we will adhere to them to the best of our abilities and make everyone as happy as possible. But thank you for tuning into this week's episode, and let's go watch some football.